We'll start by importing touchable opacity from React Native in our footer.js. Now we'll open up the view, create another view, and add 3 touchable opacities. In the first, we'll say text and say all to show all items. We'll add text to show active and text for completed. Now we'll go create a style sheet. So say const styles equals style sheet dot create. We'll give a container, which will say padding of 16, flex direction row. We'll align the items to the center. And then we'll say justify content space between. Now we'll go apply style equals styles.container to our wrapping view. Now if we refresh, we can see that our filters are stacked on top of each other. To fix this, we'll go add a filter style, say flex direction row. Now apply that to our view that's wrapping our filters. So say style equals styles.filters. And then when we refresh, we can see they're next to each other now. Now we'll go and style each of the filters. So we'll create a filter style. We'll give it a padding of 8, a border radius of 5, a border width of 1, and a border color of transparent. Now we'll go apply style equals styles.filter to each of our touchable opacities. Now when we refresh, we can see that there's spacing in between each of our touchable opacities. Now we'll go add an onPress prop to each of our touchable opacities, which will be a function that calls this.props.onFilter, which will take an argument of the items that we want to show. So in this case, it'll be all. Copy this. Here, we'll switch this one to active. And here, we'll say completed. We'll eventually pass in the selected filter, so we'll go ahead and destructure that from our props. And then we'll change our touchable opacities over to an array and say filter equals all. Then we'll say styles.selected. So we'll go ahead and do that for all of our touchable opacities. Change this one to active. This one to completed. And now we'll create our selected style. Say border color is equal to RGBA 175, 47, 47 with a 0.2 opacity. Now we'll go ahead and switch back to our app. On our state, we'll add our default filter, which will start with all. Now we'll scroll down and we'll add filter equals this.state.filter to our footer, so that when we refresh, we can see that the all has the selected style around it. We'll now scroll to the top and we'll create const filter items, which will be an item that takes a filter as well as items, be an arrow function, and we'll return items.filter. We'll have our item, and if filter is equal to all, then we'll always return true and therefore show all items. If it's filter is equal to completed, then we will return item.complete. And then if filter is equal to active, we'll return not item.complete. Now we'll go add a handle filter call, which will receive a filter, and we'll say this.setSource. We'll say this.state.items. We'll then filter items with filter and this dot state dot items because we want to filter the items that we want to display, and then we'll pass in filter as the extra state. We'll bind this dot handle filter equals this dot handle filter dot bind this. We'll then go down to our footer and pass in on filter equals this dot handle filter. Now we can go and refresh, and we can add an item, add another. We'll toggle one of these to complete, and we can say active, which will show the active items, and then completed to show the completed items, and then back to all. We'll now need to go filter items on all the other calls that have called set source. So we'll scroll up, and in our handle remove item, we'll say filter items. We'll pass in this dot state dot filter, and then the new items that we want to render. We'll replace that with handle toggle complete, handle toggle all complete, as well as handle add new item. So now if we refresh, we can add an item, add another item, and we can toggle one complete and go to completed. We then add an item, but because it wasn't complete, it does not show up on the view, but it will show up on the active view and the all view. So now all of our items are getting filtered regardless of what action you take.